Yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Patel, thanks for being here. I want to thank my colleague, Senator Welsh, for being so measured and respectful in the way that he engaged with you. I just want to cover a few things, and I don't know if it'll take 7 minutes or not. I want to go back to the we versus I, since it was the last discussion. Other people may not have been paying attention. I've only missed Senator Booker's questions, but in your exchange with my colleague from one of my former states that I lived in, Louisiana, he repeatedly said you with respect to preparing a memo or documents, and you repeatedly said we. So you are somebody who's not like a lot of people around here that say I a lot, even though it was the we that got things done. So I, for one, appreciate how you focus on that. Now let's talk about how things change over time. I don't know if if the presidential candidate Clinton ever claimed that President Trump was legitimately elected. I know that Stacey Abrams never really, allowed or acknowledged that Governor Kemp was governor until the second time she lost. I don't know what's wrong with you simply saying that President Biden is duly elected. Now, I believe that Senator Welsh is asking for a legitimate reason, but most people aren't. Most people are going to say, now we got you. And now we're going to create a wedge between you and the president and other people by using that word that they can absolutely exploit. So you've answered the question. President Biden was duly elected. I don't have any problem with saying he won because I certified the election along with so many others on January the 6th. Now let me talk about January the 6th. Y'all may not know this. I don't know if it's public. I can't imagine why it'd be classified. This was the room that we retreated to on January the 6th. I was the last Senate member out of the chamber. I was actually approached by one of the vice president's details saying it's time to go. Part of it was because I was really angry and a little way wanting to fight, which was probably not a good idea. But what I saw for these people, and it's unfair to tell you to get up, order you to physically get up and turn around. It's a great tactic used frequently here in the committee, but you were right to engage the senator respectfully in a line of questioning. I looked at all the ones who were in the chamber on January the 6th, and they were heroes. I looked at the ones after I transcended down the stairs and went into the trains connecting the Capitol. Those heroes were bloody. They were bruised, and they were still holding the line, and we saw and heard people 50 yards away. Every one of those people in the Capitol, I've said, were thugs, and I don't apologize for it. They were either caught up in the moment and didn't do damage to a police officer, or they harmed a police officer, and I disagree absolutely and said it on the Senate floor with the pardons of people who did harm to the president. And I've had conversations with you that suggest that if you had been consulted on that, we'd have probably had a little bit different structure for the pardons, folks. This man understands what happens when the leadership of a law enforcement agency fails to protect their own. And I have to admit that in the last administration, I saw a commander-in-chief who looked the other way when you should have been saying the people who were mostly peaceful protesters in Kenosha with a building burning in the background, well, they had a righteous cause. So it's okay if they harm law enforcement or public safety officers. And when they damaged the federal building in Portland, and they harmed police officers there, I didn't see anybody calling for arrest and the insurrection in those government buildings, federal buildings. Folks, let's be consistent because I am. I said it then and I said it now. These folks are heroes. They got us to this room. We spent hours here, and they were so successful with securing this building, we went back the same day and finished our job. That only happened because of these proud law enforcement officers, and I know you would support them. Okay, let me take a breath. You answered the question on Section 702, but I have to refer to my friend Alex Padilla. We co-chair the Mental Health Caucus together. I love working with him. One of the problems around here with people who pretend like they're bipartisan, but they never do it when it's hard, is that they also make it more difficult for other people. When Section 702 was reauthorized in April of 2024, we had 4 or 5 of our members agree to walk the plank to make sure that and I didn't, by the way, because I wanted the reforms done. But I have to say, I'm glad that they did. Because I just had a colleague say, They were guilty of bending a knee. What they were guilty of is protecting this nation. Now, were they happy that the reforms weren't done? No. I've heard John Cornyn say things. Mike Lee's got a lot of, Senator Lee, Senator Cornyn. They've got a lot of great ideas and we should reform it. But that's what's wrong with this place, folks. We just had somebody here try and do an offhanded hit on people that, on a bipartisan basis, reauthorize something that's critically important for keeping this nation safe. So I guess the inference is, next time, don't do that. Be partisan. Go dark. Endanger the U.S. So come on, guys, let's be real here. If anything, I hope I've been consistent on, let's just be balanced. You know, really, you've had colleagues, we've had colleagues on the other side of the aisle call President Trump an illegitimate president. Now, we have, the witness has acknowledged that President Biden's election was certified. If you want them to use a specific word, what are we, in high school? I mean, come on. So I do have to tell you, though, Cash, I've hit bingo a couple of times. And I have a feeling by the time we get to the third round, we will again.
Hope you put a lot of money on it, Senator.
You know what? You know what I put a lot of, I won't call it money, but capital on? It's the due diligence I've done on you and the extraordinary job you're doing in this committee. One of the reasons you're seeing frustration among people asking you questions is you're composed, you're respectful, you reached out to every one of them and asked to meet with them. They've thanked you for doing that. I suspect that those conversations went a lot better than the TV personalities that we've seen today. So I've got 50 minutes. You want to wrap up on, and I'm going to come back for the second round. You want to wrap up on, let me just ask you this question. I went to the floor yesterday to make it very clear. I've been thanking these Capitol Police officers, and I told them I actually thought that the partisan people who did harm to police officers sucked. And I told them that at every one of these security entrances when I come in, and I stand by it, and I respectfully disagree with the president or whoever likely gave him advice, because the president has to rely on best advice for some of these executive orders. But I make no apology for saying that the men and women on Capitol Hill that got us safely to this building are heroes. The people who harmed them are thugs, but they're out now. So here's their opportunity, Mr. Patel. You find the people that you were convicted of harming, call them, write them a letter, apologize to them. And if you don't, and you come to Capitol Hill, I will track you down and I will burden you until you do. Now I've run out of time. I'll be back for a second round.
Thank you, Senator.